December 19th, 1944, at 06:23 hours. In the woods outside Noville, Belgium, Unteroffizier Klaus Wendel's gloved fingers are struggling with a frozen pencil. He's scribbling. In his personal notebook, his breath is making clouds in the cramped inside of his Panther tank's turret. The Americans have a new hunter. We hear them, but never see them. By the time we turn our turret, they're gone. 3 of our Tigers got destroyed yesterday. Through his commander's cupola, Wendel is peering into the pre-dawn darkness of the Ardennes forest. Somewhere beyond the tree line, the 705th Tank Destroyer Battalion's M18 Hellcats are already moving into position. What he doesn't know is that in exactly 17 minutes, his whole idea of armoured warfare will be shattered by an American vehicle that breaks every rule of tank fighting the Wehrmacht perfected over 5 years of war. The Panther's 75mm gun can punch. Through any American tank at 2,000 meters, its frontal armor can bounce most Allied shells. It shows the top of German engineering, heavy, powerful, methodical, yet within 3 minutes of first contact, Wendel will see multiple German tanks destroyed by vehicles moving at speeds German armor can't even do on paved roads. The Battle of the Bulge is entering its 4th day. Across the frozen forests of Belgium and Luxembourg, German tank crews are learning a scary truth. The Americans built something that hunts differently than any armored vehicle ever. Not stronger, not heavier, just faster than anything they can imagine surviving on a battlefield. The M18 Hellcat story starts in December 1941, right as America joins the war. While German tank ideas grew from overwhelming firepower and protection, leading to 45-ton Panthers and 69.8-ton King Tigers, American designers at General Motors took a totally different path that would scare German crews 3 years later. The Tank Destroyer Force, set up under General Leslie McNair's order on November 27, 1941, worked on a simple rule from Field Manual FM-18-5: seek, strike, and destroy. The focus was on speed and firepower over armor. The M18, called T-70 during development, would live this idea to the extreme that German tank makers thought was crazy risky. Buick Motor Division in Flint, Michigan, not Grand Blanc, like sometimes mixed up with the nearby Sherman tank plant, got the contract in January 1942. Chief engineer Joseph Roberts faced specs that seemed to clash. Mount a 76mm high-velocity gun that can wreck any German tank, keep a low profile for hiding and hit speeds over 50 mph, all while keeping weight under 20 tons. The fix went against normal tank design. The M18's armor is only 25.4mm at its thickest on the turret front, 12.7mm on the hull front, barely enough to stop heavy machine gun bullets. A German 88mm shell wouldn't just go through, it would pass right out the other side. The design put mobility first above everything, making what history experts later call the fastest tracked armored fighting vehicle of World War II. The first M18 Hellcats got to Europe in early 1944. They first fought in Italy with the 894th Tank Destroyer Battalion. 704th Tank Destroyer Battalion was the first unit in the European theatre to get M18s in May 1944, landing at Utah Beach on July 13th. But it was in the breakout from Normandy where German tank crews first met what would become their nightmare. On July 29th, 1944, near Coutances, France, parts of German, heavy tank battalions reported weird fights with American tank destroyers that vanished before Germans could shoot back after action. Reports noted enemy vehicles showing speeds, guessed at 80 km/h over rough ground, with fight times from first shot to last sight about 180 seconds. The math was simple and scary. A Panther tank's turret needs 60 seconds for a full spin. Its top speed is 34 mph on roads, 15 mph off-road. The M18 Hellcat can speed up from 0 to 30 mph in 7 seconds, hold 55 mph on roads with a governor, 60 mph without, and keep 26 mph cross-country. In the 3 minutes it takes a German crew to spot the danger, turn their turret, lock on target and fire, the Hellcat can move nearly 1.5 miles away. The fear wasn't made up. The M18's 76mm M1A2 gun, while unable to break Panther frontal armor with standard M62 APCBC ammo, can easily beat the 40mm side armor at 1,500 meters. with M93 HVAP tungsten core rounds, though super limited, with crews getting only 1 to 2 rounds. Monthly, penetration hits 157mm at 500 yards. The gun's muzzle velocity of 2,600 feet per second means the shell gets there before the sound of the shot. German rules stressed careful fights, smart target picking, steady aiming, saving ammo. Crews trained a lot on battling from still spots using land for hull-down hiding. The Panther and Tiger were made for this way. Heavily armoured, strong guns, slow but steady moves. The Hellcat broke every part of this training. M18 crews learned at Camp Hood, Texas, set up just as the tank, Destroyer Tactical and Firing Center on 158,706 acres, to never stay still for more than 30 seconds after shooting. The motto, "Speed is life," became the standard rule. Where German rules focused on the perfect shot, American tank destroyer rules taught shoot and scoot. Between July 1943 and October 1944, Buick's Flint, Michigan plant made exactly 2,507 M18 Hellcats, way fewer than the planned 8,186 vehicles. Production included 6 test models, a first contract for 1,000 vehicles, and a last order of 1,507 units. Peak monthly making hit 267 units in November 1943. This making rate, while small compared to Sherman tank output, still beat German Panther making. While Germany fought to make 90 Panthers monthly by late 1944, American factories had already finished the whole Hellcat run. The difference meant that while German crews knew each lost Panther or Tiger was basically gone forever, American forces could quickly replace any losses. The M18 had a Wright R975 radial engine, first made for planes. Early production vehicles, serial numbers 1 to 1350, used the naturally aspirated R975C1, making 350 horsepower. Later models, serial 1351 to 2507, got the supercharged R975C4, producing 400 horsepower, starting in March 1944. This power, mixed with the vehicle's 17.7 to 20-ton weight, sources differ based on setup, created a great power-to-weight ratio of 20 to 22.5 horsepower per ton, compared to the Panther's 15 horsepower per ton. The Hellcat's hydrostatic automatic transmission with torque converter let drivers keep max speed while turning, a big edge over German tanks needing manual shifting and clutch work. The ground pressure of just 10.5 psi, less than many wheeled vehicles, meant Hellcats could cross mud and snow that stopped. 57-ton Tiger is at 15.2 psi ground pressure, and 69.8-ton Tiger II's the breakout from Normandy in August 1944 gave the first big show of Hellcat. Ways during Operation Cobra, starting July 25, 1944, the 603rd Tank Destroyer Battalion, which got M18s in October 1943 and landed at Utah Beach July 21 to 22, joined the sweep through Brittany. The 704th and 705th Battalions, also with M18s, took part in the fast advance. Normal tank fighting would have meant careful hidden approaches and long shootouts. Instead, M18 crews did what became known as quick flanking attacks, using their better speed to hit from surprise directions before German turrets could turn to face the threat. The Battle of Aracourt, fought September 18th to 29th, 1944, not October like sometimes wrong, near the Nancy Bridgehead across the Moselle River, showed the M18's power when used right. The 704th Tank Destroyer Battalion, attached to the 4th Armoured Division's Combat Command A, faced parts of the German 113th Panzer Brigade in setup that should have helped the defenders. On September 19th, Lieutenant Edwin Leiper's platoon fought German armour in heavy fog at super close range. Visibility only 30 feet. In the first 5 minutes, his M18s wrecked 5 German tanks while losing just 1 vehicle. The fight went on with 10 more enemy tanks destroyed. For the loss of 2 more M18s, Captain Tom Evans earned the Distinguished Service Cross after personally using a disabled M18's gun to destroy enemy panzers. The overall results at Aracourt were amazing: 39 German tanks destroyed for 4 M18s destroyed and 3 damaged. A 5.6.1 kill ratio that proved the tank destroyer idea. The Battle of the Bulge in December 1944 became the Hellcat's most famous testing ground. The 705th Tank Destroyer Battalion, called by General A.D. Bruce the finest tank destroyer battalion yet trained, rushed to defend Bastogne, giving key armoured help to the 101st Airborne Division. On December 19th to 20th, 1944, near Noville, M18s from both the 609th and 705th Tank Destroyer Battalions fought parts of the 2nd Panzer Division. The 609th got there first with Team de Sobry, where Lieutenant David K. Hagen's platoon of 4 M18s did awesome stuff. One vehicle knocked out 7 German tanks, while another got 5, losing only 1 M18 while destroying 14 enemy tanks total. The 705th, under Lieutenant Colonel Clifford D. Templeton, reinforced. Late on December 19th with about 12 M18s, the combined force helped destroy at least 30 German tanks over 2 days, causing 600 to 1,000 German casualties, while making a crucial 48-hour delay. The 705th would later get a Presidential Unit citation for actions at Bastogne from December 18th to 27th, 1944. On Christmas Day 1944 alone, the 705th destroyed 27 German tanks while losing 6 M18s, fighting the 15th Panzer Grenadier Division, keeping their great kill ratios even in the toughest battles. Overall, during the siege of Bastogne, the 705th destroyed about 40 German tanks for 6 M18 losses, getting a 6.7.1 kill ratio. The Hellcat's edges grew in bad conditions. While German heavy tanks struggled in mud and snow, the M18's light weight and low ground pressure kept it moving. During the Bulge's start, heavy fog grounded air support and cut visibility to under 100 meters. German rules relied on long-range gun superiority, now useless. Hellcat crews, trained for close-range ambushes at Camp Hood's Revolutionary Battle Conditioning course, did great in these setups. The M18's light weight gave strategic movement German heavy tanks couldn't match, while a King Tiger needed class. 70 bridges, rare in Europe, the M18 could cross class 24 bridges, basically any that held a loaded truck. This edge proved key during Rhine crossings. While German heavy tanks hunted for strong intact bridges, Hellcats crossed on quick setups by combat engineers. While American factories built 2,507 M18 Hellcats between July 1943 and October 1944, Germany struggled all war to make heavy tanks. Total Panther production hit about 6,000 vehicles, while only 492 King Tigers and 347 Tiger Is were ever built. The math of factory power was unavoidable. For every Panther made, America built 8 tank destroyers and tanks total. German tank crews faced not just better tactics, but huge numbers. American making included 49,234 M4 Shermans, 2,507 M18 Hellcats, 2,324 M10 tank destroyers, 2,873 M36 tank destroyers, plus 88,410 other armoured vehicles. German tank crew training in 1944 stressed careful fights, smart target picking, steady aiming, saving ammo. By late 1944, experienced German tank crews were getting rare. Replacements got minimal training, sometimes just 2 weeks before battle. American Hellcat crews, on the other hand, got lots of training at Camp Hood, later Fort Hood, Texas. The Tank Destroyer School's program included 17 weeks of hard training with focus on speed, movement, and taking charge. The place, first commanded by Lieutenant Colonel, later Brigadier General, Andrew D. Bruce, could train 100,000 soldiers at once with 28 battalions and 8 groups in different stages. Crews practiced high-speed shooting, quick moves, and team attacks until they were automatic. The Revolutionary Battle Conditioning course, first called the Tank Hunting course, was the first US Army training to use live fire overhead. Trainees spent a full week in fake combat setups. By late 1944, American tank destroyer rules had grown from early ideas to proven battleways. FM 18.5, published in June 1942, said, "There is but one battle objective of tank destroyer units, the destruction of hostile tanks." General Bruce later explained that seek meant strong scouting, strike meant wrecking with gunfire, not charging, and destroy meant wiping out through better tactics. Battle experience changed these ideas. North African fights taught that pure attack charges were deadly mistakes. Instead, bold spirit mixed with sneaking and tricks became the key to good tank destroyer use. M18 crews made wolf pack tactics. 3 or 4 Hellcats, working in team but independent attacks, talking by radio to make overlapping fire areas while always moving. By war's end, M18 Hellcat units had amazing battle stats. The Army Historical Foundation records 526 total enemy armoured vehicle kills, 498 in Europe, 17 in Italy, and 11 in the Pacific. With about 216 M18s lost to enemy fire in the European theatre, this made an overall kill-to-loss ratio of 2.4.1, 2.3.1 in Europe specifically, the highest of any US tank or tank destroyer in World War. While individual unit wins often beat these averages, the 603rd Tank Destroyer Battalion wrecked upwards of 90 enemy armoured fighting vehicles. The 704th got similar numbers with their Aracourt fight alone, counting 39 kills. The 705th's work at Bastogne, 40 tanks destroyed for 6 lost, showed steady greatness. The 601st Tank Destroyer Battalion got the highest recorded ratio at nearly 23.1. Loss checks showed 40 to 50% of M18 losses came from enemy tanks and anti-tank guns using the vehicle's thin armour, while 25 to 35% were from mechanical breakdowns. Remaining losses were from infantry anti-tank weapons, artillery and mines. The basic difference between German and American armoured vehicle design thinking shows clear when comparing specs. The Panther weighed exactly 44.8 to 45 tons with 80mm frontal armour, sloped at 55 degrees. Effective. About 140mm. The Tiger I weighed 57 tons with 100mm vertical frontal armour. King Tiger reached 69.8 tons with 150mm sloped frontal armour and 180mm turret armour. Against this, the M18 Hellcat weighed just 17.7 to 20 tons with armour from 12.7mm on the hull to 25.4mm on the turret front, thinner than some German armoured cars. Yet this seeming weakness enabled the speed that became its main defence. At 500 metres, a Hellcat moving sideways at 40 mph would cross a Tiger's gun aim in 4.5 seconds, faster than the gunner could track with manual turning after hydraulic failure. A common battle thing. Beyond speed, the M18 showed better mechanical trust than German heavy tanks. The Wright R975 radial engine from proven plane designs started reliably, even in freezing cold. German tank crews using diesel engines that needed careful warm-ups couldn't get how. Hellcats could start right away and speed up instantly. The Panther's fancy transmission, while tech advanced, proved weak in battle. Final drive brakes hurt the design all its life. The Tiger II's complexity meant more were lost to mechanical fails than enemy hits. Meanwhile, the M18's simple design using tested car parts where possible ensured steady ready status. American supply power boosted the M18's strength. While German tanks often sat still for lack of fuel, parts or ammo, Hellcat units kept high working rates through good supply lines. The famous Red Ball Express and like operations made sure fuel came steady, while standard parts meant easy field fixes. German forces by late 1944 had constant fuel shortages. Operation Watch on the Rhine, the German Ardennes attack, partly aimed to grab Allied fuel dumps because German supplies couldn't keep up long ops. This fuel issue meant German tanks often fought defending from still spots, exactly where the moving Hellcat had max edge. Every M18 carried both radio and intercom systems that worked well, SCR 508 or SCR 528, radio sets giving steady torque. German tanks, especially by late 1944, often ran with broken or no comms, using signal flags or pre-battle plans. This small detail had big battle effects. Hellcat platoons teamed attacks in real time, changing to German moves right away. When 4 Hellcats hit from different ways, they worked as one through radio teaming. German tanks, often fighting alone in comms, couldn't match this bendiness. Before the Hellcat's famous work in Northwest Europe, the Italian campaign gave German forces their first warnings. In May 1944, during the breakout from Anzio, the 894th Tank Destroyer Battalion's Hellcats faced parts of the Hermann Göring Panzer Division. The land, rolling hills with vineyards and stone walls, should have cut the M18's speed edge. Instead, it made their mind impact bigger. The Hellcats used their power to speed up 30-degree slopes at speeds German tanks couldn't do on flat ground, making an illusion of being everywhere by showing at many points along ridgelines fast, one after another. This early show of Hellcat skills went mostly ignored by German high command, who stayed focused on the Eastern Front where most German armor was sent. Winter 1944-45 proved the Hellcat's edges actually grew in tough conditions. The M18's wide tracks and lightweight making just 10.5 psi ground pressure let movement through snow that trapped heavier vehicles, German Tigers and Panthers, already fighting mechanical trust, found their movement cut more by winter. During the Battle of the Bulge, Hellcat crews used these conditions smartly. They used their speed to race through areas where German heavy tanks got stuck, showing up behind German lines where heavy armor was thought impossible. This movement in bad conditions helped a lot in the successful defense of Bastogne. German forces tried different counterways against the Hellcat. Danger updated tactical books suggested quick smoke use when M18s were spotted, basically blinding themselves, hoping the threat would go by. Other desperate steps included welding extra track links to side armor, useless, against 76mm rounds, and making planned ambushes with hidden anti-tank guns. Nothing worked steady. The Hellcat's mix of speed, firepower, and tactical bend proved too much with what Germans had. The vehicle's very being changed German actions. Commanders got unwilling to send armor without lots of scouting, giving up start and speed. In March 1945, near Remagen, M18s from the 656th Tank Destroyer Battalion crossed the captured Ludendorff Bridge while it was too damaged for heavier vehicles. They set up a screen that wrecked 11 German tanks trying to near the bridge, including 2 King Tigers that couldn't turn quick enough in the tight land. This action showed the strategic value of the M8's lightweight. While German heavy tanks needed specific paths and specially strong bridges, Hellcats could use any crossing that held truck traffic, showing up in impossible spots behind German lines. April 1945 saw the Ruhr Pocket become a huge trap for German Army Group B. The 893rd Tank Destroyer Battalion's Hellcats did what historians call perfect tank destroyer ops, racing through falling German lines at speeds near 60 mph on cleared autobahns, showing deep in German back areas before commanders knew the front was broken. These last ops showed the M18's idea fully grown. Speed as weapon, movement as armor, surprise as main tactic. German defense spots made to stop careful attacks by heavy tanks proved useless against vehicles that just raced around them at highway speeds. Post-war checks by US Army historians proved the M18 idea despite its limits. The 76mm gun's inability to break Panther or Tiger frontal armor, with standard ammo forced relying on side attacks, missions where the vehicle's speed became key. With standard M62 APCBC rounds getting only 93mm penetration at 500 yards and rare HVAP rounds, crews had to close to deadly ranges for front fights against German heavy tanks. Yet the battle record speaks clear. 6 confirmed kills against 216 combat losses made the highest kill-to-loss ratio of any American armored vehicle in World War II. This win came not from better firepower or protection, but from new use of speed and movement mixed with better crew training. The M18 Hellcat stood for more than a vehicle. It showed a totally different idea of armored fighting. While Germany perfected the tank as breakthrough tool and moving fort, America made something new. The tank destroyer as pure hunter. The tank destroyer force's motto, seek, strike, and destroy, proved forward-looking. By war's end, American tank destroyer battalions claimed over 11,000 enemy vehicles wrecked total, with Hellcat units getting the highest kill ratios. The rules stressed that tank destroyers were not tanks and shouldn't fight like tanks. They were hunters that hit from ambush and vanished. Beyond tactical wins, the Hellcat made strategic effects. German armoured backups, instead of grouping for attacks, were more and more held back to guard against tank destroyer raids. The mere presence of Hellcat units in an area could stop German armoured moves for hours while commanders checked their spots. During the Ardennes attack, Court German talks showed commanders asking for proof no Hellcats were there before sending backups. Hours lost to scouting, speed given up to care. The attack meant to split Allied forces was partly stopped by fear of vehicles weighing less than half a Panther. The 2507 Hellcats built showed American factory thinking. Not perfect, but practical good. While Germany built 6,000 Panthers over 3 years, struggling with quality checks and part shortages, Buick made all M18s in just 15 months using proven parts and simple building. German engineers, when checking captured M18s, noted the seeming roughness, working welds not perfect joints, armor plate with tool marks, inside setup seeming random. Yet this rough vehicle always wrecked German tanks built with watchmaker care. The difference was in design thinking. Germany built engineering wonders, while America built useful tools. Behind the numbers lay human sadness on both sides. Young German tankers, many still teens by 1945, faced an enemy that cancelled everything they'd learned. Their well-kept Panthers and Tigers, the peak of German engineering, burned just as easy when hit by Hellcat rounds from ambush. American crews, while losing far fewer, carried their own loads. The speed that saved them also meant hitting without warning, often giving German crews no chance to give up or escape. The minimal armor meant that when M18s got hit, bad losses often happened, though the open-top turret design actually improved crew survival rates to over 80%, compared to just 35% for German heavy tank crews. The M18 Hellcat's influence went beyond World War II. Post-war armies studied its use, seeing that movement could beat protection in some cases. Modern military rules focus on shoot and scoot, quick moves, and movement to survival all trace back to M18 use in 1944-45. Today at Fort Moore, formerly Fort Benning, a restored M18 Hellcat stands at the Armour School entrance. Its plaque remembers it as the fastest armoured fighting vehicle of World War II, and proof that American smartness and mass-making could beat fancy enemy tanks through speed and tactical new ideas. The final counting of the Hellcat's impact. Production total manufactured 2,507. Production period, July 1943 to October 1944, 15 months. Peak production, 267 units. November 1943 unit cost $57,500 in 1943. Production location Buick Division, Flint, Michigan. Performance, maximum speed, 55 mph governed, 60 mph ungoverned. Acceleration, 0 to 30 mph per 7 seconds. Range 100 to 105 miles. Power to weight ratio, 20 to 22.5 horsepower per ton. Ground pressure, 10.5 psi. Combat. Record enemy vehicles destroyed 526 confirmed, M18s lost to enemy fire, 216. Overall kill ratio 2.4. 1 European theatre ratio 2.3.1. Comparative German tank specs. Panther, 44, 8 to 45 tons, 15 horsepower per ton, 34 mph maximum. Tiger I, 57 tons, 100 mm frontal armor, 1,347 produced. Tiger II, 69.8 tons, 150 mm frontal armor, 492 produced. The biggest irony of the Hellcat story is that German rules created the setup for its win by building heavier and heavier tanks, Panthers, Tigers, King Tigers. Germany made slow, road-tied targets perfect for Hellcat ways. Had Germany kept making lighter, moving tanks, the Hellcat's edges would have been smaller. Every ton added to. German tanks made them more open to American tank destroyers. The chase for unbeatable supertanks made vehicles that couldn't answer high-speed fighting. In building forts, Germany became weak to enemies that fought like fast riders, racing cars with guns that hit and vanished before fightback was possible. The M18 Hellcat proved that victory doesn't need the best gear. It needs the right gear used properly. German crews in their great Panthers and Tigers were beaten by American crews in vehicles that seemed way too open. It stays one of history's big examples of rules beating tech. Military historian Stephen J. Zaloga called the M18 poorly balanced, while noting its success came from the training and drive of its crews, not its bad design. Yet this view misses a key point. The poor balance of extreme speed over armor protection. was exactly what enabled the new tactics that made the highest kill-to-loss ratio of any American armoured vehicle in World War II. For German tank crews in 1944-45, 3 minutes was all they had. Minutes from the first sound of high-revving engines to the hit of 76mm rounds. Minutes to spot the danger, turn their turret, lock on target, and fire. While the Hellcat was already racing to its next spot at 55 Bauhaus, 3 minutes that usually ended with their tank burning and the Hellcat vanishing into the distance, seeking its next victim. The Hellcat proved that in modern warfare, speed doesn't just kill, it makes strength not matter. The German crews who survived. Those 3 minutes learned a lesson that would reshape armoured fighting rules. Sometimes the best armour is not being where the enemy can shoot you. Sometimes the most powerful gun is the one that fires from where the enemy doesn't expect. Sometimes the greatest victory comes not from building the strongest tank, but from building the right tank for the war you're actually fighting. In those 3 minutes lay the difference between old thinking and new, between fighting the last war and fighting the current one, between perfection and practicality. The M18 Hellcat, under-armoured, outgunned by German tanks, dismissed by some, as poorly designed, achieved what German supertanks could not: battlefield control through speed, training, and new use. For German tank crews facing M18 Hellcats, 3 minutes was a lifetime. For most, it was all the lifetime they had left.